Hi guys, I would like to thank everyone who donates to the Patreon account. The donations keep the show going. My computer is ready to go kaput after 8 years, so the Patreon fund will help me get another computer, and that will, in turn, enable me to churn out more episodes. There will be more giveaways in the future, and just a reminder, you don't have to give a lot. $1 a month would do. Any amount would be appreciated. Once again, the Patreon account is located at www.patreon.com/leader1. That's Patreon and Leaderone. Thank you and enjoy the show. Yes, so welcome to True Crime News, and this is Morgan Rector.
And I am Rachel Telfor.
All right, and just to start, I'm just going to say we're not going to focus on Florida so much. It seems kind of unfair to constantly shed a light on Florida as the epicenter of weirdness and criminality in America, because it's certainly not like you won't find that anywhere else in the country or in the world for that matter. Germany sure has its fair share of strangeness, and you can find a lot of that in places like Japan. I don't know why a lot of it happens to fall into Florida, but
I think it was just something that kind of caught with the Florida Man tagline, and then once social media gets a hold of it, it just blows up. But you're right, crazy things like this can happen anywhere.
Well, I once heard something. Well, it's like in the movie Casino. He says Las Vegas is a morality car wash. You go there, and it's like your past doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
I've heard people say something to the effect that Florida is the same way. A lot of people who are like fugitives, or maybe they just want a fresh start, they go there. I don't know if there's something about Florida that is distinctly that it enables that kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, we did have some pretty loose drug laws where they were prescribing medication that they shouldn't have been more than in other parts of the country, but that's actually since been pretty tightened up. So I think maybe that helps a little bit, but I don't know. I'm not a professional.
Was that? Oh, you mean like OxyContin and
correct?
All that stuff, bath salts. I remember hearing everything I heard about bath salts and the addiction and abuse of them. It seemed to be concentrated in Florida.
Yeah. I maybe it's because we're near I don't know if it's because we're near the border and some certain stuff gets to us first. And like I said, the prescribing of doctors here, there were lots of pill mills all around, especially like central kind of areas of Florida, even around where I live. So, I mean, when you have a lot of people that are medically dependent on drugs, then crazy things tend to happen. But again, they happen in other places too. There's just probably not as many people around to witness it.
Well, I imagine a lot of GPs have been making a lot of money writing prescriptions for OxyContin, because it's not like that's against the law. I mean, if your patient has a legitimate pain condition, chronic pain, then you wouldn't get in trouble for it. So, but yeah, because doctors do get paid for prescriptions and so that's probably been a cottage industry for them.
Well, luckily, it's very highly hard to get. It's very hard to. They don't prescribe anything. I mean, you really have to be in some pain for them to prescribe you opiates at this point. So, I mean, I don't find that bad.
Yeah, that's true. They should just legalize weed.
Yep.
That's right. All right, I'll start with my stories.
Okay.
This one I think I got off of Facebook, actually. This is one that I imagine a lot of listeners will find pretty righteous. An enraged father from Texas who caught a 47-year-old man sexually assaulting his 5-year-old daughter will receive no charges after beating the molester to death. The father was alerted by another child and ran to a remote shack, hearing screams, and found the man and his daughter with their underwear off. He blacked out, beating the man with his bare hands before calling 911 for help. Under Texas law, deadly force is authorized and justified in order to stop an aggravated sexual assault or sexual battery, I guess. So yeah, I guess as a parent, you probably relate to that, right?
I have 3 words to say. God bless Texas in that story.
Yeah, well, in some jurisdictions, they do have these laws pertaining to justifiable homicide. Like in the case I released today about Dean Corll, one of his accomplices ended up shooting him to prevent another death, and so he wasn't charged for killing him, but he was charged for assisting him with other murders. But in some
once again, Morgan gives me spoilers of I only got a quarter of the way through the stories.
Oh, you haven't listened to it. Well, you know what?
I just started.
One thing that happens on occasion, and actually a listener told me about this today, is that there are really fucked up details about that case that were not included in the source material that I used.
Oh,
so
wow.
There's some actually, it's hard to believe it was worse than it sounds, but it actually was. So if you supposedly he put, because I mentioned that he had these glass tubes. I don't know if they were like test tubes or what, but I didn't say what he did with them because the book didn't say. But supposedly he would put them inside of people and break them and leave them there. He would take like a thermometer and shove it inside a guy's piss hole. And,
oh my God! What is wrong with people?
So that's a couple of the things that were left out, but now you know them. And
thanks, Morgan. Appreciate it. Can't wait to listen to the rest. Just kidding, I really can't. But yeah, in that story, I 100% would react the exact same way, without a doubt, at all. Good for that man, and good for law enforcement for not prosecuting.
You know, to go to a remote shack for any reason is creepy, but to sexually assaulted in one, you know,
disgusting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what do you have for us?
I'm actually going to start out with an update from a story I did 2 weeks ago on May 16th.
All right.
Just because we are True Crime News, so I figured I'd give us a little update. This is the story of the 14-year-old boy who had stabbed the 13-year-old girl. They were not sure yet if they were going to try him as an adult or as a minor. So this just came out, I think it was today or yesterday, and it does say a 14-year-old boy will be tried as an adult for the murder of a 13-year-old girl, the state's attorney for Florida's 7th Judicial Circuit announced Thursday. State Attorney R.J. Lorizza alleges Aiden Fucci stabbed Tristan Bailey 114 times. I had said that previously. Jesus. She had 49 of the wounds were defensive wounds on her hands, arms, and head. Fucci will be charged with a first-degree murder. So that was, remember, I had said they were charging him with second degree, and he had to be charged as an adult to have first degree. So he is being charged with first-degree murder after a grand jury returned an indictment against the teenager on Thursday. Quote, he indicated to several witnesses that he was going to kill somebody by taking them in the woods and stabbing them, which are certainly the facts of this case, Lorizza said. A knife was found in the pond near where Bailey's body was found in a park in the area near the Durbin Amenity Center. Lorizza said the tip of the knife had broken off and was found by the medical examiner in Bailey's body. He had DNA all over his shirt and in his bedroom, so obviously they linked him. And then we didn't know why he did it. So this is the closest thing I've gotten so far. Fucci allegedly admitted to detectives he had gotten into an argument with Bailey. WJXT reports, witnesses reported seeing the two teens walking into the park around 1:45 a.m., and that's when he had committed the murder. The park is less than a half mile from his residence. So I'm going to keep an eye on this story. I want to know how it progresses because now we have a 14-year-old child who's being tried as an adult in a first-degree murder case.
Wow. And, this is something I really should have learned before now. So the distinction between first degree and second degree, I want to see if I have this right. So first degree, your intention was to kill the person. You did everything in your power to do it. Whereas second degree is like you attacked somebody, you didn't mean to kill them, but through your actions they died. Is that how it works?
So what it is premeditation. First degree murder is premeditated. You planned it. And second degree is kind of rage of passion, or the guy that you just told the story of. He would technically, but laws in Texas, he wasn't, but that would be like a second degree murder charge. And then there's all kinds of other little sub-genres from there, but yeah, that's the differentiation.
Yeah, so a married couple starts picking up knives and shit during a heated argument.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or a guy walks in on his wife having an affair. Yeah, that kind of stuff is not premeditated.
So that's still in development.
Yep. Very new. Keep
all right.
Posted.
Yeah, okay. My next story, the headline is Teacher Tortured and Killed Cats to Feel Powerful, court docs say. Graham William Reed, 29, tortured and killed his cats named Cabbage, Parsnip, Carrot, and Broccoli over the course of 6. So he named them with the fixins, I guess.
I know. What was it? Cabbage what?
Cabbage, parsnip, carrot, and broccoli. He killed them
all root vegetables. Okay,
yeah, killed them over the course of 6 months up until March this year, authorities say. And this was a recent story. Reed told an investigator that he killed the cats as a means to feel powerful because he was bullied and oppressed as a child and would become enraged with various stressors in life, according to Fort Bend County court documents as seen by KPRC2. It was only after a Sugar Land veterinarian, do you know where Sugar Land is?
I don't. I'll find out, though.
Provided a tip to authorities after noticing multiple cases of severe injury in the animals, which, quote, didn't add up, and that the Fort Bend County District Attorney's Office filed charges against Reed. According to records with the Fort Bend County Court, as seen by Newsweek, Reed was arrested on April 28th and charged with 4 counts of cruelty to non-livestock animals. I don't know if you can be charged for cruelty to livestock as well, but injuries alleged to have been inflicted upon the cats included broken teeth, bloodied toes, cut tails, respiratory issues, and broken bones. On one occasion, Reed admitted to repeatedly hitting one of the cats with a metal workout bar before taking the pet to the vet, where it was cremated. On another occasion, the former teacher beat and kicked a separate cat and then disposed of... A
former teacher?
Oh, yeah, he was a teacher, yeah.
Oh, dear God.
Kicked another cat and then disposed of the animal in the dumpster. A third cat reportedly scratched Reed, and he slammed it with a scratching post. The cat died after it began vomiting. The fourth cat to endure such torture was reportedly a 4-month-old kitten, which, according to court documents, Reed attacked with a litter scoop, using it as a hammer to kill the animal after it went to the bathroom outside of the litter box. After visits to local veterinarians, Reed would later say that the animals died at home. One vet gave evidence that it was, quote, odd that Reed brought the animals to the vet if he was the one causing the injury and didn't know what was really happening at Reed's home. Prior to his arrest, Reed taught geometry at Ridge Point High School in Fort Bend Independent School District, the Houston Chronicle reported. Oh, okay, so I guess
Texas.
Houston, yeah. I don't know how their animal laws are compared to the laws of about murder of perpetrators of the murders of people. Sherry Williams, Media Relations Director for Fort Bend ISD, told the publication that Reed is currently no longer employed at the school. We have been made aware of a disturbing animal cruelty allegation against a teacher who is no longer employed with the district. We are unable to comment further as the matter involves an ongoing criminal investigation. Please know the safety and security of our students is our top priority, and we are taking steps to safeguard the emotional well-being of our students by making well-trained counselors available to the teacher's former students.
I hate him.
Yeah, I do too. But I have to say, the schools tend to, like their science classes, tend to do the thing where you dissect frogs. So I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe that's a little bit of hypocrisy. I don't know if school boards still do that or not, but
I don't know. I know I did in chemistry. We had a frog. It was a little disturbing.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't disturb me now because I've eaten frogs' legs. So
So have I. But you don't do that to house cats, and that's just an aggressive abuse, very hostile abuse of animals. So there's something
For
else
sure.
going on there.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, it's your turn. It's your story.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and do my story. This is in Kings County, California, and I am bringing you a prison story. I seem to have a theme where I
Nice.
pick different kinds of one from each category. So I did that tonight as well. So a self-described Satanist is accused of decapitating and dissecting his cellmate at a California state penitentiary with a makeshift knife, and prison guards are coming under fire after a new report is questioning why they didn't see the grisly scene earlier. It's a very interesting story to me. The LA Times reports the California Inspector General's office published 2 new reports on the murder of Luis Romero at Corcoran State Prison. The report claims guards said both Romero and the alleged killer, Jamie Osana, were both alive when prison guards made their rounds on March 9th, 2019. So this happened a while ago, but I think it just came to trial. Romero, however, was allegedly already dead. Osuna, the Satanist, reportedly had a violent history of attacking his cellmates. The report questions why Romero was placed in a cell with Osuna in the first place. I too question that. Romero's family believes a white sheet was covering part of the cell bar, saying guards did not complete a thorough check of the cell. Associated Press reports Assistant Kings County District Attorney Phil Espenshade said in 2019 this was, quote, the most gruesome case that I have ever seen in terms of heinousness in the slaying. It was initially reported that Romero suffered from multiple sharp force trauma injuries, but this new report detailed in the LA Times reveals how Romero allegedly was tortured and dismembered.
Mm-hmm.
According to the LA Times, Osuna reportedly attached a razor-like blade to a handle. He then reportedly cut out one of Romero's eyes, a finger, and sliced his rib and lung. Osuna also cut off Romero's head and sliced his mouth to make it look like Romero was smiling. Okay, he cut off his head with a razor-like blade. Now, I'm assuming that you can't get I don't know what kind of blade you can get in prison, but I'm sure it would take a lot of effort to behead somebody with whatever you can get there.
It would take hours,
right?
Because when the French used to behead people, they used those guillotines, and the blade was huge and heavy.
How is that? Okay, that blew my mind. All right, so Osuna, we'll talk about the lack of guards after this. Osuna was reportedly found wearing a necklace composed of Romero's body parts. So he also had time to make a necklace of body parts. Espenshade said in 2019, quote, we do believe that the victim was conscious during at least a portion of the time. And I guess made no noise during this? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Osuna had reportedly been deemed a, quote, high-risk inmate and had been found with hatchets and weapons in his cell. On a previous occasion, he reportedly went into another cell and attacked an inmate, causing the man to require 67 stitches to his face. The Inspector General's report called the prison's internal affairs investigation of the situation, quote, poor. To which I say, that is an understatement.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Osuna was transferred to Salinas Valley State Prison for their psychiatric inpatient program. He was deemed not competent to stand trial for Romero's death.
Yeah, no shit.
So, okay. How does one get that many? First of all, he's high risk. He's done it before.
Yeah, yeah.
He's gotten access to that many weapons in his bunk or his cell.
I mean, it's not hard to make a shank or to get a shank.
Right.
To cut bones, like, I mean, butchers have to use a saw to cut bones.
The amount of time that took, like, how has a guard not gone by in that amount of time that it takes to decapitate somebody with a razor blade?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
that sounds far-fetched. I don't know. Maybe if he did do it, maybe it was maybe he did it over a series of days and
right.
Just hours and hours. I mean, it's not impossible. Hours of cutting, but I mean, obviously you're going to get blood all over you, and it's not like he can get plastic sheeting to cover up the mess or whatever.
Exactly. And now he's not even. I mean, he wasn't even. They didn't even stand trial because he's in the psychiatric ward. So interesting. I thought that was just a crazy story. So you're welcome. There you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. There's there's no shortage of those in prisons.
No kidding.
Well, I mean, yeah, some of the violence is really fucked up.
There's a lot of violence in prison. I mean, there really is. This one just caught me off guard because, number one, his previous, offenses, and then just, I mean, there are alleged charges, but that's a lot. I mean, wearing a necklace of his parts and cutting a head off is just that's a little much.
Oh yeah, there's one violent act that has been performed in prisons quite a bit. This one actually freaked me out more than most. It's where they put their thumbs in your eyeballs and press them until your eyeballs pop. They just blind you that way.
Yeah.
I think that would be worse than most of the other things they could do to you. Like just to be beaten up. I mean, at least you'd heal from that.
I don't know. I've heard you've talked about some pretty horrific things, Morgan. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I know, but I don't know. I guess that's one thing that kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies when I heard.
Do you have an eye thing? Are you like weirded out by eyes? Is that like your?
No, it's just no. But I think like just being blinded would be horrible.
Terrifying.
Yeah, because people who are born sightless, that's the only life they've known. So there was no adjustment involved.
Yeah.
I mean, well, certain amount of adjustment whenever they end up in new places and whatnot. But I mean, adjusting to having no sight, that would just be traumatic later on in life. I mean, I know someone. So
you're saying that you'd rather? Okay, never mind. That's a stupid question. Go ahead.
Rather what? No, go ahead.
I was gonna play Would You Rather, but if I find it like, I don't want to be insensitive, but I was gonna say, would you rather have no hearing or have no sight if you had to choose?
Actually, you know what? How about we do a true crime Would You Rather for next week, and we'll both.
Ooh, I like it.
List of horrible things to choose between. I think.
Okay, I like it. I was also thinking if the audience had any suggestions of genres they wanted us to do stories about, pop them in the comments.
Good. Yeah, I thought about posting that on the Facebook group. So I'll do that.
Might be fun, but that's a good idea. I like that one.
Another thing, I've been wanting to interview a corrections officer for quite some time, but it's kind of hard.
I have a best friend who actually was a corrections officer.
Really?
I do.
Well, tell him or her that I would like to interview them for the show.
It's her. I will ask her. I went to high school with her, actually. She's a pretty outstanding girl. So.
Did she work at a maximum security prison?
It was the jail, but let me tell you, she's got some stories. But if we want it, we can maybe do the jail, and then we can find someone in maximum security. And was it like a women's facility or was it men's? Both.
Both? Oh,
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, some of the city and county jails, I think they have like, I mean, it's both genders, but they're segregated.
They're separated. Yeah, they're
yeah.
right. Yep.
An interesting bit of trivia is actually there's a higher rate of sexual assault in the women's prisons than in the men's prisons. I think I guess women find ways to do it that are quieter, but
oh, weird.
Yeah, but yeah, well, or maybe in a men's prison you have less people who are willing to just take it, whereas maybe
I don't think so. I think women are just we're smarter and more sly. Yeah. Not making it an excuse for women who do sexual things in prison. But listen, we get away with more because we're smart. We're smart.
Yeah, I suppose so. I guess they find.
I suppose so. Morgan's gonna kill me after this podcast.
Well, I mean, Orange is the New Black was based on reality, so and there's
there you go.
Sexual assault in that show, like when the crazy chick felt
crazy eyes.
Yeah. Came to her little station and peed on the floor and all that.
Oh my god, that was a great show.
That kind of crazy shit does happen in prisons.
It really does.
All right, so now this is actually a vegan crime, if you can imagine such a thing.
Oh, you just said a vegan crime. I don't know if those two words have ever been spoken in the same sentence. Congratulations.
Yeah. Actually, as a sort of a non sequitur, but loosely related. Here in Toronto, there's a restaurant, and I forget what it was called now, but it's an unusual restaurant in that it sells the kind of local game that you would hunt here in Canada. Like it sells venison, rabbit, all that kind of stuff, elk. And these vegans were protesting in front of it, and it just went on for days and days, and finally the owner just got really angry. So to fuck with them, he set up a table right at the window where they were, and he butchered the meat right there so they could see it. So he's there like with a whole deer carcass, and they were freaking out, man. But
sorry, I'm not laughing for vegans and our any listeners who are vegans. I'm no offense whatsoever, but that level of fuck you is kind of just funny to me for a minute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why target him over every other restaurant?
Yeah, like exactly. Guys just trying to make a living. There's people that hunt, and you know what? Honestly, at least if you're hunting to eat and you're using all of the animal, which is what I would prefer hunters to do. Which any hunter. My father was hunted when we were young. That's how we wouldn't have eaten if my father had not hunted. You have a deer, it lasts you a couple months. So, I'm not making, I mean, if you're vegan, you're pescatarian, vegetarian, my sister is actually totally cool, but don't hate on people that hard that eat meat.
I had venison once as a kid. The protein level must be incredible because it's really tough meat, and so it would be good for you.
Yeah, slightly gamey too, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this story, a couple who fed their 2 puppies exclusively on a vegan diet have copped more than $6,000 in fines and will no longer be able to own pets. This happened in Australia. The Bull Arab cross puppies named Roo and Ula were found severely malnourished and weight at the couple's home in Queensland, Australia. Officers from the charity the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals made several visits to the property to investigate reports of animal cruelty. The dogs, who were being fed chickpeas, quinoa, rice, and grains, were found underweight, weak, and suffering from several injuries. On one search of the home, inspectors found there was no dog food or meat products on the property, only human food, including lentils, rice, pasta, quinoa, and grains. James McKenzie and Megan Price from Cow Bay, north of Cairns, told an RSPCA inspector that they made their own dog food, but refused to disclose what ingredients were used. All food cited was indicative of a vegan diet, a statement from RSPCA Queensland said. There were no dog food or meat products at their property. The couple, who identified as vegans, also revealed One of the dogs had injured its back leg from jumping off the couch. Its homemade cast, they made their own cast for the dog.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
Yeah, which the couple said they learned to construct from the internet,
Oh,
had
perfect.
rubbed against the dog's stomach, causing painful blisters. Both dogs were seized in May and underwent days of emergency treatment. You eat murdered animals. You will never be like us. We're vegans and love animals, Mackenzie is said to have told the inspector as the puppies were seized. The dogs were described as being emaciated and suffering from severe calcium deficiencies when they were assessed by veterinarian Dr. Paul Matthews. An inappropriate diet had led to severe nutritional imbalance in both puppies, according to evidence given by Dr. Matthews. One dog, Ula, was able to be rehomed when his condition improved after receiving treatment, but his front paws remained permanently disfigured. A family in Cairns adopted the pooch and renamed him Scrappy Doo. The second dog, Roo, was euthanized on medical advice after he reportedly did not respond well to emergency rehabilitation. Concerns were held for the dog's quality of life due to lifelong pain. Mackenzie and Price were each charged at Mossman Magistrates Court with 2 counts of failing to treat an animal and 1 count of failing to comply with an animal welfare direction. They were ordered to pay more than $8,600, which is $6,667 US, in fines, legal costs, and veterinarian bills in a judgment handed down on May 6th. They must not love animals very much if they would put their own dogs through that.
Yeah. That gives vegans a bad name because I'm sorry, that's just being ignorant. Extremely ignorant.
Well, dogs evolved, I think, really just to be carnivores.
Yes.
They do eat grass out when they're on walks, but I don't think it's for. Well, I think that helps with
it's to help digestion, yeah, or
Yeah.
their belly.
But they don't want to eat vegetables or anything like that.
No.
Well, they'll eat anything, but not all of it.
Well, Well, my sister, like I said, is a vegetarian, and she fed her cats. She has 5 cats, and she feeds them a raw diet. She buys raw rabbit or chicken and adds in all the proteins and everything, and she has to grind it in a meat grinder. It makes her want to vomit every week when she has to make her food, but she still does it because that's what the cats eat.
Well, doesn't that cost a lot more than just buying some fancy feast?
No, well, I don't know. I mean, it's healthier for the cats, and if the cats have gut problems, or there's so many additives in the store-bought food, and they actually eat less. And honestly, I'm not kidding. Their feces smells less bad.
Yeah, maybe.
And they don't need as much water. It's really crazy. I tried it on my cats for a little bit, but they started jumping on my counter and trying to eat bread, so I feel like they were starving.
Well, your sister, she wouldn't be able to deviate them from that course at this point because I have found
they're used to it.
Cats will eat the same thing their whole life. Like I fed them Whiskas, and I bought a different cat food one time. They wouldn't touch it.
I know. I'm like, how can you eat the same thing I feel bad sometimes. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm feeding you the same dry pieces of.
They like it. They don't like change. So.
They don't.
So what's your next story?
Oh, my next story is out of North Carolina, and sorry guys, it's Mother of the Year. It's the Mother of the Year, and by that I mean totally not Mother of the Year story.
Yeah.
So, missing four-year-old's remains were found buried in the backyard of a home in North Carolina last week, according to police. The child, who'd been identified as Majelic, quote, Jelly, which was her nickname, Young, was found outside of a home on Braden River near Charlotte's Firestone Park. Several people came forward voluntarily to be interviewed by detectives, including the child's mother, Malika Diane Bennett. Shortly thereafter, she was arrested, charged with felony child abuse, inflicting physical injury, felony concealing a death, and first-degree murder. Thursday, the police announced a second person, 53-year-old Tammy Moffitt, was charged in the case. Moffitt was interviewed and charged with concealing a death and accessory after the fact to the murder. Neighbors tell WBTV Tammy Moffitt is the child's grandmother. A friend of Moffitt told the news station she is in shock over her arrest. Quote, "I never would have thought that of Tammy, but you never know what people are going to do," she said. "All people react different, so ... She says Bennett had at least 8 kids. That's funny, at least, so she's rounding. According to the arrest warrant, police say Bennett inflicted serious bodily injury on Majelic, causing black eyes, bruises, and swelling. Here's the part that makes me very angry. An arrest warrant for child abuse in March 2020 says she left another child alone for more than 24 hours. Court records also show that in January of 2011, she was arrested for misdemeanor child abuse and pled guilty. A friend was quoted as saying, "I hope they can lay down and sleep at night because I couldn't. If it was mine, I couldn't do it." A memorial has been placed in the spot where the young girl was found. Quoted from Lieutenant Brian Crum, "I've worked homicide most of the last 10 years, and I can tell you this case is deeply disturbing. It's disturbing to everyone who worked at crime scene investigators, detectives, everyone involved in the case. Many of us are parents, and it's difficult to understand how somebody could do this to their child, kill their child and bury them and move on with their life as if nothing happened." Charlotte Mecklenburg police say the child was last seen in her mother's home for a visit in September. Since then, they received reports that the little girl hadn't been seen for some time. Quote, "I mean, gone for so long, I'm a mother myself," neighbor Shanetta Bunting said. "If my child was gone one day, I'd be losing it. So I can't imagine what the family is dealing with right now and knowing something had happened and it was right there in front of their faces, in a sense."
Yeah.
Officers contacted the missing persons unit, and very quickly they became concerned foul play may have been involved. This is a quote, "Certainly that's concerning when no one can account for a child for that amount of time." Bennett, the girl's mother, also has 3 pending misdemeanor child abuse charges from February of 2020, according to Search of Public Records. So 3 previous pending child abuse charges. Officers determined an, quote, "abusive environment" eventually led to the girl's death, but an official cause of death won't be released until the medical examiner completes their report. This is a new story, by the way. So it's tragic, Bunting said. It's a tragedy for everybody involved, even this community. We can feel the pain. I also want to mention that Bennett had a boyfriend, but he lived at the home, but he was definitely not responsible, so he was not charged in anything. It was a full courtroom when the mom went to the court. A group of Jelly's loved ones gathered outside the Mecklenburg County Courthouse Monday, demanding that Bennett is kept in jail with no bond. The family members at the courthouse said Jelly returned to live with her mother in the fall, and that that was the last time they saw her. This is a quote from one of her family members. "There is no words to say to her. Whatever is coming for her is coming, I promise. I ain't got no words for her." The investigation into this case is active and ongoing, and additional information develops. It will be released by the CMPD's Public Affairs, and if anybody has any tips for this incident, they can call 704-432-TIPS tips. I don't know what the word, 1600.
It's a weird, Casey Anthony's case comes up, and then I feel like all these crimes involving parents murdering their own children seem to be appearing like herpes. It's
not enough mental. We don't have enough mental health available to people in this country.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I sometimes wonder if there is a dark side to the feelings that a parent has for their children. Like they say, there's a fine line between love and hate. So maybe there are times when parents feel like they want to hurt their children. I don't know. I wonder about that sometimes. Like Stephen King said that was what inspired The Shining, because he had written a book and the manuscript was lying around, and his son took crayons and like scribbled all over it. So and this was before computers. So this was typewritten matter, right? And so he said he suddenly understood why sometimes animals kill their young.
Okay, so
I'm not trying to justify what these people.
No, totally no. I've never wanted to kill my children, but I can think of 2 instances where I physically had to walk out of their room and walk away from them.
Oh yeah.
And one is they were, I think, like 4 and 6. Okay, and in my garage, I had a bunch of boxes full of crap. They never went in the garage. But in one specific box that I had kept for probably 12 years, I had a bunch of Harry Potter figurines that were unopened in the package. They were original when Harry Potter first came out. Huge Harry Potter fan, sorry. So I'd kept them all these years.
Mm-hmm.
I walked into the room one day, and all of them were open.
I mean, you thought you could keep toys around and that they would never.
It was in the garage. Did I already tell this story? I think I told this story.
How well did you seal the box? Was it like?
It was taped. They knew. It was far. It was not where they should have been.
Yeah.
And then the other time is there was a pig pillow that had a bunch of those tiny little styrofoam balls.
Yeah.
And they opened it, they cut it, and threw it all over the room. I'm pretty sure there's still styrofoam balls in that room to this day.
Yeah, that's a time in a child's life when everything's a toy, right?
Yeah, and I just looked at them. I walked in, I looked at them. I said, "Do not talk to me for an hour at least," and I walked back out and had to walk away.
So those
I cried. I was so upset, and then they felt really bad.
If those Harry Potter toys were still in the packages, if they never did that,
they would be. Don't even talk about it, please.
They'd be worth a lot of money by now.
They would, yeah, because they were like the original ones when they first came out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. Whatever.
All right. So my next story is out of Columbus, Georgia, and I was interested in this. I think I got this from the FBI's website because they always have press releases there.
Ooh,
and
good one.
I happen to be reading the Mindhunter book now too. So, so this is about a female offender, and it involves child pornography. You don't often hear about women being involved in stories. So the headline is: former pediatric nurse practitioner pleads guilty to distribution of child pornography. So a Preston, Georgia resident and former pediatric nurse practitioner has pleaded guilty to distribution of child pornography in a case involving thousands of images and videos of child pornography. William Clinton Story, 41, of Preston, Georgia, pleaded guilty to one-count distribution of child pornography before U.S. District Judge Clay Land today. I was wrong, so it's a man. I automatically assume a nurse is going to be a woman. That's my bad. So Story faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years up to a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison, a maximum fine of $250,000, and a term of supervised release of at least 5 years up to a lifetime of supervision. Story will also be required to register as a sex offender upon his release from federal prison under the Sex Offender Registration Act. His sentencing is scheduled for August 17th. There's no parole in the federal system for these offenses. So
he was a nurse, Kurt. You said he was a nurse?
A pediatric nurse.
Fuck.
I mean, what are they going to have to do? Are they going to have to start, installing cameras, in all these facilities where children are cared for?
Oh, well, I don't leave my children anywhere in any public space without me. And our dentist office actually does not allow the parents to go back, and that slightly bothers me.
That's kind of odd. I mean, children hate going to the dentist.
Yeah, so I've almost wanted to switch dentists just because of that, because they can be traumatized. I have a problem with dentists, and nothing ever bad really happened to me. It's just an anxiety thing. So I'm like, I want to be there for. Sorry, I try not to say like so much because people make fun of me. Sorry, guys.
No,
I mean, hello. But yeah, so it bothers me that I can't go back there and be with my kids. But in my doctor's office, yes, very much so.
Well, my mother told me about this incident. I don't know how old I was, maybe 2 or 3 years old, but she took me to daycare, and then when she came and got me, I was wearing like some other kid's clothes.
What the heck?
She never took me back. I don't remember the incident, and it's probably better that I don't.
Yes.
So who knows what happened there? But
Good Lord.
they didn't explain it either. It's not like I pissed my pants and they had to give me donated clothes or anything. That I just had different clothes on. So
some daycares scare me. Ours had it was like more like a preschool, so it was less of a daycare. They had like a structured environment from 18 months up until pre-K, but they had cameras, so you could kind of check your kids out during the day, see what they were doing, and that made me feel really safe. And plus, the lady who had run the preschool had been doing it for like 25 years. Outstanding. I just love that preschool.
All right, so what's your next story?
My next story is about sexual assault.
Ooh.
And this happened a couple weeks ago from Lincoln, Nebraska. See, I'm all over the place today. I didn't just stick with Florida.
Well, me too, yeah.
Good for us.
Yeah.
3 Nebraska men were arrested after an 18-year-old woman, I'm sorry, that's still a child, told police she was drugged, physically and sexually assaulted, and held captive for several days. Lincoln police officers responded to the unidentified woman's report at an area hospital, the Lincoln Journal-Star reported. She told officers she had run away from her home on May 13th and had been reported missing. The woman told police she interacted with a man on social media on Friday, May 15th, and went to his apartment on May 16th. 2 men, identified as roommates, 23-year-old Talon Dennis and 24-year-old Ricky Osler, were at the apartment located on the 400 block of Fletcher Avenue, the Journal reports. Kids, don't meet people on the internet and then go meet them the day after you start talking to them, please. Please don't do that. Don't let your children do that. Don't do that. Okay, moving on. She was also told that they would... This is not funny. She was also told that they would take care of her if she watched after their children and did housework for them, a police report states.
Sure, yeah.
The woman had met Dennis online. She told police she believed she had been drugged by the men at the apartment. KETV reports the woman told police she was taken to another apartment on the 1600 block of Prospect Street, about 6 miles away. She said she was knocked unconscious, and she said she woke up to being sexually assaulted by Dennis Osler and a third man. She was allegedly taken back to the Fletcher Avenue apartment the next morning, where she was allegedly, again, all this is alleged, and I hate repeating that, so, sexually assaulted by Osler and Dennis several more times. She said she was held captive by the men for 5 days and escaped when they left her at the apartment on Friday, May 21st. This is recent. Saturday, Lincoln police served a search warrant at the apartment of the 400 block of Fletcher. Dennis and Osler were arrested at the location. Gianni Phillips, 23, was arrested at his residence on the 1600 block of Prospect Avenue. Talon Dennis and Gianni Phillips were both charged with first-degree sexual assault and first-degree false imprisonment. Ricky Osler was arrested for first-degree sexual assault. Phillips and Osler were also held on outstanding bench warrants. All 3 men were held without bond. At the hospital, the woman was examined and found to have bruises, lacerations, and abrasions consistent with her statement, KET reported. So...
She was 18 when it happened?
Correct.
Okay.
Met somebody on the internet and went over to his house the next day. Don't do that.
I gotta
Don't
say,
do that.
it's kind of a miracle we don't hear about like tons of Tinder murders. I'm surprised that doesn't happen a lot.
I think those. See, I'm going to say something controversial now. Those people are probably more willing. That's kind of what Tinder is.
it is, I know, but at the same time, it's like if you were a guy and you wanted to
Yeah.
and well, that seems like that would be a good way to go about it. Like
Instead of like Craigslist, yeah, you go to Tinder for people who are willing participants more. I guess I get what you're saying.
yeah, it's a woman who's basically giving consent to be alone with you
Right.
in a room somewhere, and that could leave her being very unsafe. But
Yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of that going on. But
Which is really, you make a good point, because there is I'm surprised. And guys, I have a really warped sense of humor, so don't judge me for the things that I say. I
do, yeah. I do too.
I say what comes out of my head, and I don't mean it.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's lots of lurking online. Like, in fact, when it comes to YouTube videos, if you're going to click the option to make it viewable by children, they don't allow comments on those videos because pedophiles were using them to meet kids. So if there was like a cartoon or something like that, they'd go there, and if kids had commented, they'd like interact with them and try to.
Thank God, my kids are obsessed with. They only watch YouTube videos, so I'm so thankful for that.
Well, being boys, tell them to watch one. Paul Flart, fart. They must love farts. They
probably already have watched it, but I'll make sure to tell them.
They would have to love it. I'm 44 years old.
I swear to you, you're never babysitting.
Yeah, well, they'd probably want to watch it on a loop. So.
Yeah, thanks. I'll make them call you.
All right, so the next one. So this also involves child pornography, and this is like another kind of figure that we trust in our society, and they abuse that trust in a terrible way. So the headline is: former San Antonio police officer sentenced to federal prison for distribution of obscene visual representations of the sexual abuse of children. A federal judge yesterday sentenced 27-year-old former San Antonio police officer Sebastian Torres to 8 years in federal prison, followed by 15 years of supervised release for the distribution of obscene visual representations of the sexual abuse of children. On February 26, 2020, the San Antonio resident pleaded guilty to one count of distribution of obscene visual representations of the sexual abuse of children and admitted he sent numerous obscene depictions of young children being sexually assaulted to another individual on October 31st, 2019. During this investigation, local authorities executed a search warrant at the defendant's residence and seized the defendant's cell phone, which was used to commit the offense. This case was brought as part of Project Safe Childhood, a nationwide initiative to combat the epidemic of child sexual exploitation and abuse launched in May 2006. So I was thinking, for one thing, as if his life isn't already turned to shit, cops are targeted for a lot of violence in prison. Criminals hate cops because a lot of cops.
He's got a double whammy there.
Oh yeah, because a lot of a child. I mean, I don't know if he ever actually sexually abused a child personally.
I mean, that's soliciting child pornography is sexual abuse in my mind.
Yeah, so he's going to have to be in protective custody because for that, and also having been a cop, because a lot of cops like to fuck with criminals when they're under arrest. Like it happened to me. I was arrested when I was 16, and they'll make fun of you, and they'll do because they hate criminals and they piss them off that way. And so this guy, hopefully for his sake, he won't end up in a prison with some of the guys he arrested. But either way, yeah, that's going to be a hard sentence.
Very brazen and arrogant as a police officer to be doing that kind of thing and think that you're not going to be caught.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Very, very, I feel a narcissistic vibe there.
Well, one thing I've wondered about as well is, like, they take in that kind of stuff when they bust people for it, but I wonder if maybe there are people who kind of sneak around, and when they get off work from the police department, maybe they start making money off it. Just like how that must happen with drugs sometimes, right?
Yeah. I mean, you don't know. Honestly.
So, all right, what's your next story?
This story, the title is 88-year-old man allegedly feels tickled after murdering roommate. Wants to urinate on his grave.
Wow.
This is from Ozark, Missouri. Welcome to Missouri. Larry Shaw allegedly killed his younger roommate, Kenny Barnes, after he'd asked him to do chores. I'm sorry, this is not funny.
I'm talking.
It's kind of what this is like. You're so old and fed up with people's shit.
Yeah.
This is that story. Okay, this is what I felt reading the story. So he'd asked him to do chores. Following years of apparent contemplation, an 88-year-old Southwest Missouri man allegedly murdered a man he disliked, his roommate. Larry Shaw has been charged with first-degree murder following the fatal shooting of 52-year-old Kenny Barnes at his home in Ozark. Investigators said Shaw lived with Barnes for 6 or 7 years. Court documents indicate that Shaw told investigators he was tired. He was tired of Barnes' vulgar language and how he treated him.
Damn.
The Springfield News reported. Police said Shaw told them he'd had enough after Barnes told him to do some chores Wednesday morning. He allegedly got a handgun and waited in a recliner for 3 hours before the shooting. Court documents said the gun had been stored between the cushions of the couch. Court documents state that Shaw told police he was, quote, kind of tickled that he shot Barnes. Furthermore, he expressed no apparent remorse in the police interviews following the shooting. The Springfield News Leader reports that Shaw allegedly told police that he wanted to urinate on Barnes's grave. A detective wrote that Larry allegedly made it clear that he, quote, was glad he was dead, according to the county headliner. Damn. Shaw appears to be possibly smirking in his mugshot, which I saw, and he is. Police say Shaw shot Barnes once in the chest, the headliner news reports. They found Barnes laying dead outside of the home. It's unclear if the two are related or were anything beyond roommates. Shaw is being held in the Christian County Jail without bond. He does not have an attorney listed for this case. Like, this man just straight up got sick of this guy's shit, shot him once, and said, you know what, I don't even feel bad.
Wow, talk about the odd couple, huh?
It's not funny. But 88, in his room it was 56, so he's like an old, grumpy man, just probably, sick of shit.
Well, there are a lot of people, I've heard a lot of roommate horror stories, how that situation can go so horribly wrong, and
absolutely.
The one that stuck out for me, because I looked up online, somebody actually put together a bunch of them on a webpage, and this guy said, so the computer, I think they all shared a computer. It was in the living room, and one of his roommates, he comes in the living room, and the other guy who was telling the story, he was with like a friend or something, and the guy his roommate sits down at the computer and starts browsing through pornography, and then he started masturbating like right there in front of them. Yeah, and he just didn't give a shit, didn't look back, didn't care. He went for it. So
yeah, I would have a problem with that.
Yeah, but just moving out of your apartment's not. It's easier said than done, right?
That's true. That is true. Especially here, our houses are flying off the market, so thank God I don't have to buy right now.
Yeah.
And Florida's closed. No one move here. We're closed.
Yeah. Okay, so my next story, I decided I looked up Walmart crime stories, and there are a few, and as you would expect, they're all weird and sometimes even funny.
I'm so excited.
So the headline for the first one is Naked with Meth.
Please tell me this isn't in Florida.
No, it isn't actually. A 49-year-old Arizona man, Robert Knopf, was arrested in 2017 after he strolled into a Walmart wearing only shoes and carrying meth. His two friends admitted they dropped him off because they thought it would be funny. Knopf was arrested for indecent exposure, public sexual indecency, disorderly conduct, and possession of dangerous drugs. And there was a story, the that I'll use as an honorable mention because it also involves Walmart and meth. There's this guy, I would call him. Did you watch Breaking Bad?
Of course.
All right. So I would call this guy the Walter White of Walmart because
Okay.
I don't know how he pulled it off, but he built a meth lab underneath Walmart, and yet he wasn't an employee. I don't know how he did it, but if I had been the judge presiding over that case, I think I would almost be tempted to maybe shave off a couple of years from his sentence just because I'd be so impressed that he pulled it off.
Yeah,
like I don't know how. Yeah, that's genius. It's
under a Walmart, so that had to be a northern state because obviously if it was here, you'd be in water.
well, Arizona. That's toward Mexico, isn't it?
Oh, so okay, got you.
Yeah.
Dry.
Yeah. So that's my first Walmart story. What's your next story?
I'm gonna follow you up with an animal cruelty story.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, so if anybody doesn't want to hear it. Texas man arrested for animal cruelty after allegedly taking a dead dog for a walk. William Rose allegedly told police that he wanted to take his dog for a walk one last time before throwing him in the dumpster. A Texas man who initially claimed that his dog had died from depression.
His dog died from depression?
That's what he claimed. Has been charged this week with animal cruelty for allegedly strangling the pooch to death.
Oh,
William
man.
Rose, a 40-year-old San Antonio resident, was arrested Monday for cruelty to non-livestock animals, online jailed records show. The alleged incident occurred over the summer, according to local outlets. An unnamed neighbor told police they observed Rose on August 8th carrying his dead dog by the neck. When the neighbor approached him, Rose allegedly claimed that his dog, Rocky, had died and that he was taking him for a walk one last time.
By his neck.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The neighbor then reportedly saw Rose place the dead pet with a wire around its neck in a shrine that was erected behind the man's apartment. This is what prompted them to alert the authorities, according to the news outlet. When police and representatives from Animal Care Services spoke to Rose about the situation, he claimed that his dog had died from depression, according to his affidavit. However, the results of the necropsy, God, that's a hard word to say.
Yeah.
It's the animal version of an autopsy.
Yeah, I suppose it must be, yeah.
Completed the following month, suggested that any authorities confronted Rose again about the incident in early September while he was still in custody at the Bexar County Jail for an unrelated incident. Rose told a detective that on that day in question, he'd taken his dog out for a walk without a leash. He said that when the property's security guard instructed him to leash the dog, he began holding the dog by the collar to the point where the animal's front paws were off the ground for most of the walk. The walk lasted 20 minutes, an affidavit obtained by the KSAT states. Rose said that by the time he and Rocky got back to his apartment, the dog was having trouble breathing. You fucking think?
Yeah, if you were carried by your neck, you might have a little bit of trouble breathing, yeah.
Thank you. And then he left and later returned, and he found the animal dead. Rose allegedly told authorities that he wanted to take Rocky for a walk one more time before throwing him into the dumpster. Rose was released from custody on Tuesday after posting a $25,000 bond, according to the outlet. So.
Poor dog.
Poor flippin' dog.
Yeah. See, that is the justice in that situation would have been if the guy had been hung, right?
I mean, if eye for an eye.
Hang him, yeah, even if just temporarily, right? I don't know if you can survive that. I don't know if you can survive a hanging or not. Like if you can just do it for a couple of minutes, but yeah.
I've watched enough. Well, I'm going off movies I've watched. I mean, the old school hangings were like the crack of the neck, which immediately kills you. And then if you slowly pull it up, then that's when you're choking and it takes a while. And those are the excruciating. Why do I know these things?
Yeah, well, you're a true crime buff, right?
God, I'm sick.
Yeah, I guess if they let you down off the thing gradually, then yeah, it will take a while to die. But if you're pushed off of like a 20-foot platform, yeah,
You have that snap, and that's what.
simply, yeah.
Yeah, which
All
is
right, so
which unfortunate to say is more humane
yeah, they turn your lights out
because
instantaneously.
you're done. You're just dead. Instead of on your tippy, like I've seen shows when you're on your tippy toes and trying to struggle to keep from suffocating, and that's probably one of my biggest fears, probably, and drowning or
Yeah,
burning alive.
I think that'd be the
That's a good.
worst.
Would you rather? Would you rather drown or be set on fire?
Drown.
Same.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, it's funny because someone brought this up recently, and I remember thinking it when I saw the movie. Did the Leonardo DiCaprio character really have no way to survive that? Couldn't he? He didn't have to drown.
Are you talking about Titanic?
Yeah, Titanic.
Don't even get me started. First of all, get up on the frickin' raft.
There was room.
There was plenty of room. You're being ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
You're being a martyr. Get the hell up. And second of all, if that were the love of my life, his ass would be right there next to me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, yeah, that was kind of a weird plot point in that movie. But
although it did make me cry for like 2 weeks straight after I watched it.
oh yeah, I mean, I was crying because I had to watch it for school.
Oh my God, Morgan, you cried?
I'm just joking. I didn't.
No, don't let your emotion out. Don't let the audience know that you can do that.
I enjoyed it, but I didn't cry. But I found it entertaining as like a suspense film, and I remember feeling outraged about like the class.
It was a very tragic love story.
Actually, you know one movie that makes me cry, and I'm not even a parent, is the movie Parenthood.
Oh,
like the last scene where the baby's born and they're all.
It's heavy.
Happy, yeah.
It's heavy.
Hey, what's that movie like to watch as you have children? That must be different, right?
What one?
Parenthood.
That's the show. The show Parenthood.
No, I'm talking about the movie. The
movie,
Steve
yeah,
Martin.
yeah.
Did you see that? Or?
I did.
Yeah. Does that hit with you now that you have kids?
Every movie that I see now that involves children after having children is completely different. Yes.
Yeah, I imagine. Well, like, there's this one line in the movie Parenthood that sometimes makes me glad I don't have kids, because he says, my whole life is have to. Like how just being a father meant like everything was about obligation and he had no choice in anything. And right. So really quick though, I say to people who don't have children, and I don't mean this in a negative way, it's fact. Becoming a parent, the moment that child came out of my body, I will never be carefree again. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, never. You can't take anything lightly, right? At least not until they're grown up.
Never for the rest of life. You'll always be worried about them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's another thing too. I don't handle worry very well. I don't handle anxiety very well. So.
Oh, I don't either. That's what I'm medicated for.
All right. So my next Walmart story is It's a bit of a gross out. So
is it a trouser trout?
No, no. There's no trouser trout. There's no children involved. Thank God in this one. In 2013, a man allegedly tossed semen on a female customer who was attempting to have a normal shopping experience inside a Newcastle, Delaware Walmart. Our first Delaware story. Not much happens in Delaware, so this was probably headline news there. So according to police, Frank J. Short Jr., he almost had that name was almost karma considering this crime. Then 22 walked past the 20-year-old victim and said, "Excuse me." That woman then suddenly felt something wet on her buttocks, thigh, and leg. At first, he claimed he merely sneezed and shook his hands off as he passed. However, he later allegedly admitted to tossing semen on the shopper because he thought she was, quote, hot. He was booked on harassment, disorderly conduct, and other charges, according to CBS Philly. So, this is one problem that needs to be rectified, is that young men are not taught how to talk to women, how to deal with women, and while they most of them don't do crazy shit like that, the reason we guys do say and do they say and do stupid things and sometimes creepy things is because no one gives us that kind of advice.
Right.
You know, like did you ever see the movie Dazed and Confused?
Yes.
Well, so there's that scene where the freshman guy gets this advice from one of the older guys on how to deal with this girl he
Right.
likes. That's fantasy. You know, it's in a fiction movie because
Yep.
in real life that happens sometimes, but it's rare. Most of us are feeling around in the dark and we don't have a fucking clue what we're doing, myself among them. So
Well, and we came from, in my parents' age and my grandparents' age where there it was very different. We're just now getting to the point with dealing with those kind of scenarios where where the what were you wearing to entice him type of thing is like, no, dude, like I don't give a shit what I'm wearing. You don't need to address me that way. And
yeah.
I have two boys, and I'm raising them to be gentlemen and respect females. But also, I just want to let you know that I totally choked on my drink. So that was the biggest news to come out of Delaware. Thank you.
Well,
I was taking a drink right then, and it came out of my nose a little bit, so it kind of hurts.
well, another thing is that the whole phenomenon of playing the field, not settling down until you're in your 30s, that's really a fairly recent phenomenon, like
Yep.
historically speaking. It
Hmm.
didn't really begin in earnest, I guess, until like the 60s. Before then, everyone was oriented toward marriage. So you married your high school sweetheart, or if not her, then or her or him, then somebody who came along immediately after. But you just grew up thinking, well, I'm going to get married when I'm 18 or 19, and so
Otherwise, women became like spinsters, where they
yeah.
were
And the thing
unmarriable because they got too old at 20.
and it's easier to negotiate your way into a relationship, I think, but to negotiate your way into casual sex is actually a lot more complex, oddly enough, and trying to come up with the right things to say can be difficult, and so maybe it's just the fact we didn't evolve to enjoy this kind of situation, so we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So maybe it has something to do with it. It's just like women get approached by like guys from certain cultures on the internet, like
Mm-hmm.
places where their marriages are arranged. So just like over here, they
Yeah.
never got to be single, but they keep meeting women and they just have no clue what
They
to
don't
say.
know any better, right?
So
Yeah.
it's like hi, want to fuck,
Exactly.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
But we're getting there, and the older I've gotten, the more tolerant, and I understand, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We have different ways of thinking. That's just the way it is. But if we come together in some sort of if we can understand each other in some sort of a primal function, it can work. Although I'm happily single right now, so we'll just leave it at
All right. So my next Walmart story. Oh wait, did you do a story yet?
that.
Did
Oh
we?
no, hang on. Wait. No, I didn't.
Okay, yeah. You're next. Yeah. Okay.
All right, how many stories do I got left? Hang on. All right, so I have one more story. I have two more stories I want to do. How many do you have?
I have. Let me see. Three, but actually, maybe I'll just do the next two because the last one's kind of long.
Yeah, that's same with me. I'm gonna save this other one because it's really long, so I'm gonna save it for next week.
Okay.
Okay. So this one is here's the headline. Bloody man said he killed the Terminator after allegedly beating homeless man to death.
Wow, the
This
Terminator.
is from Utah.
Is he looking for Sarah Connor?
Perhaps. I bet you can't guess what kind of drug he was on. You want to make a guess?
Let me see. Crack, PCP, acid, meth. Any of those?
Meth. Ding, ding, ding. Meth. William Dennis Bradley, 54, was allegedly high on meth when he brutally beat Robert Carter to death in a Salt Lake City apartment, authorities say. A Utah man allegedly told people he had killed the Terminator after he was arrested covered in blood following the beating death of the homeless man. Police say William Brady was on a methamphetamine binge when he killed a transient stranger whose brutally beaten body was found in a Salt Lake City apartment last Friday. Police were called to the Jefferson School apartments near the city's downtown around 1 p.m. on April 10th after a property manager reported a stolen golf cart. Bradley, 54, had blood all over him when authorities detained him, the document stated. The 54-year-old man told officers he had battled, quote, the Terminator and killed him, according to the probable cause statement obtained, referencing the futuristic cyborg portrayed by Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 1984 film The Terminator. Quote, when Mr. Bradley was approached by police officers, he was on a golf cart. Officers were asking him what happened, and he stated that he had been in a fight with the Terminator and killed him. Christina Judd, a spokesperson for the Salt Lake City Police Department, told Oxygen.com, which was where I got the original story from. It was very bizarre. Upon inspection of Bradley's apartment, investigators discovered 58-year-old Robert Carter's body. Police suspect he beat the homeless man to death with his bare hands. That's crazy.
Yeah, sounds more likely, yeah.
Yeah. Quote, it was pretty brutal, but there was no weapon used, Judd described. Upon entering, the officer saw the body of the man on the floor covered in blood. It was extremely violent. The two men had no relationship, didn't live together, and weren't known to each other, said the police spokesperson. It's unclear how Carter's corpse wound up in Bradley's apartment. Judd described Carter as a transient. We believe at the time of the murder he was an unsheltered person, but it's still under investigation as to why he was with William Bradley. They didn't leave together, and there was no ties to them in any other way that we could find, so it's really kind of a mystery how they ended up in the same apartment together. Bradley was arrested on suspicion of murder and taken to a hospital where he assaulted hospital staff and was sedated, quote, due to his violent behavior, the probable cause statement alleged. He became very combative, Judge explained. Doctors suspected Bradley was using methamphetamine and hadn't slept in days. He later refused to stay awake while being questioned by the detective, investigator said. So didn't sleep and then refused to stay awake. Bradley was also arrested on 5 counts of assault, which included alleged attacks on a police officer, ER doctor, and security guards. Formal charges haven't been filed yet against Bradley. However, prosecutors confirmed his case is actively being reviewed. We are still screening the case, a spokesperson said for the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office. Bradley is currently being held on a $1,021,040, very odd amount, bond, according to the Salt Lake City County Sheriff's Office.
The moral of the story, kids?
Don't do meth.
Don't do methamphetamine, that's right. Say no to that drug.
So that makes you, like, humanly, when you haven't slept in days.
Yeah,
that's the worst torture. I mean, we've heard about, I was listening, God, I can't remember what the podcast was, and they were doing a story on, it was a famous, like, they kept these people awake in a chamber with gas for like a month, and they started like eating each other and like tearing their own organs out and stuff like that. It was, or maybe that was just it wasn't true, but it was on the internet type of a thing.
Well, but
lack of sleep is like the worst thing you could possibly do.
Oh yeah, and sleep debt plus methamphetamine, well, you're gonna lose your mind.
Bad.
Did you ever seen these things where they take these before and after photos of people who became addicted to drugs like meth?
Yes, I'm obsessed with them.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them. Some young girl, very fresh-faced and beautiful, and then after
19.
5 years of meth, she just looks like shit. Like, just looks like she's been beaten up.
Yeah.
This is something that maybe our listeners might not enjoy knowing about me, but I checked out these porn videos where this guy shot video of himself having sex with meth whores and crack whores. And it's real. There's no way this is fake. Like, these women looked, I mean, for this one thing, none of them were good looking, and I think that's usually the case with the prostitutes who are doing drugs. Imagine. And well, the most striking of all these women was that one of them, like she had the body of like a girl in her late 20s. Like her skin from the neck down was pristine. It all looked good. But she had the face of a 70-year-old woman. It was just a really staggering contrast.
How did you come upon this venture into pornography?
Well, I actually thought one day I just thought I wonder if anyone's done that, if they've actually, had shot that kind of footage of themselves, and sure enough, there's a few of them out there.
Of course, everybody's done everything. I mean, name something. We should try. What haven't people done at this point?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's I don't think it's illegal for him to do it. But yeah,
I mean,
well, he didn't. His face is not shown in the videos. He's like taping it from.
None of them ever are.
No, but the girls are clearly in there.
Yep.
But yeah, it's pretty remarkable how being addicted to meth can really fuck someone up. It's just amazing.
I honestly don't think I could watch that because I'd probably never be able to have sex again. But that's just me.
Maybe, yeah. Or if you were dating a guy and you found out it was him and you watched those, you'd probably stop dating him.
Well, I would stop dating for a lot less than that, but yeah. For sure.
All right. So my next story, it's another Walmart story. This happened in Maryland. So I don't know if I've done any Maryland stories. So talk about a sticky situation. An innocent man was shopping at a Walmart in Elkton, Maryland in 2011 when nature called. He sat down on the toilet in one of the center's restrooms. Unfortunately for him, someone had poured super glue all over the seat before he sat down on it. Emergency workers had to remove him from the toilet bowl, according to the Associated Press. It's not clear how long the man, who was not identified, probably because he was embarrassed, was stuck on.
Sure.
Police didn't catch the person behind the prank, but said that if they did, that person could face second-degree assault charges. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Wow, that is interesting.
So we don't have that brand of glue here. We have crazy glue in Canada. Have you ever used super glue?
Yes.
So how strong is that? Is that?
So if you get it on your skin, it almost like can burn you kind of, but also
Really?
They used to use it as kind of a suture for big wounds instead of stitches. So, I mean, I use super glue, but yeah, you can't get it on your skin because it can hurt sometimes. It can burn, and it is not easy to get off. Like he's definitely flipping toilet, and it's gonna hurt like hell to get off.
He probably lost like a layer of skin or something, I guess, right?
Yep.
Well, he's lucky. He's lucky it didn't get into his hole, right?
No kidding. Oh my god,
what a
nightmare.
Yeah.
God.
I wonder if that Gorilla Glue is as strong as super glue. The stuff that girl put in. Oh, by the way, she issued a cease and desist letter because somebody wrote a song about that to make fun of her. So.
It was a woman?
Yeah, the
oh my god, I missed that. Holy crap, why does that make it worse to me?
I don't know, but she thought, oh, this would be better than gel. It'll hold my hair in place, and it sure did, but it just took a.
Oh, you're talking about the woman who used the Gorilla Glue on her head. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That was bad. That was really bad.
And why put that on social media? Like, why? I mean,
because everyone puts everything on social media.
The humiliation part was kind of her fault, right? I mean, I wouldn't want anyone to know if I did that.
You should that is a lack of common sense.
For sure.
That is a lack of common sense.
All right, so what's your next story?
Ready? I got my last one. And I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry because I'm ending with a Florida man story, okay?
Okay.
Sorry. Guys, I'm from Florida. I can talk shit about Florida all day long.
Well, we cut down on our Florida content.
This is where I'm from. This is what I live with. And I'm proud of it. Sometimes. So this was Pinellas Park, Florida. Florida man is behind bars after this is so Florida, by the way. I just had to do it. A Florida man is behind bars after he shot a man who threw a portion of a banana at his truck following a road rage incident.
Wow.
Police say the incident happened in the 7500 block of southbound US Highway 19 North at around 8 a.m. Tuesday. According to detectives, Peter Sala Jr. became involved in an argument with Robert Lewis while driving southbound on US Highway 19. I'm going to pause and say, to have arguments while driving down the road in Florida does happen.
Oh, I doubt it. I have no doubt about it.
We are not very kind when it comes to shitty drivers. Okay. Following the argument, Sala Jr. drove past Lewis, who was seated inside of his pickup truck and armed with a handgun. Florida guys. Police say Sala Jr. threw what is believed to be a portion of a banana, which hit the side of Lewis's pickup truck. Lewis shot at the truck being driven by Sala Jr. The right front passenger window was shattered. Sala Jr. suffered a small, non-life-threatening laceration to his leg from a piece of glass fragment that struck him. Lewis has been charged with shooting a deadly missile into/at an occupied vehicle and criminal mischief. Lewis was booked into the Pinellas County Jail and currently has a $12,000 bond.
Did you say missile?
Yes, it was charged with shooting a deadly missile into or at an occupied vehicle and criminal mischief.
But it wasn't a missile.
Apparently a bullet is a missile.
I didn't know that. I thought a bullet was just
I did not either.
It's odd.
But that's why you don't throw a bit. Listen, I could sit here and have a whole episode of stories about road rage incidences that I have personally witnessed in Florida.
But I mean, in terms of being charged with like a possession or use of a missile, I mean, I'd understand if the guy used a bazooka or something, but just a bullet.
People will pull a gun on you in traffic. It happens probably a lot more regularly than you hear.
Yeah, I would imagine. Okay, my last story is that this is another animal cruelty story, unfortunately. Back in 2017, four assholes actually, walked into a Byron, Texas Walmart with a nefarious intent. It's believed they poured bleach into a Walmart fish tank, killing $1,000 worth of fish, even recording the act. Police released surveillance footage of the happy, laughing group leaving the store, but there's no record of the suspects ever getting identified or apprehended. Do they still sell fish in Walmart?
Wait, okay. I have not seen fish in Walmart. What state was this?
That was in Texas.
What year?
2017.
Did we not have cameras?
You may. And I know that security cameras have only really caught up with like regular cameras most recently. Like remember years ago, like security cameras just kind of took like one picture every 3 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, they were very pixelated. Very frustrating.
And the quality of the image was really bad. So I think maybe that's the reason why their surveillance equipment wasn't great and they couldn't identify them. Because also, like, just if it shoots images of someone who's like 50 feet away, you can't make out their face at all. But nowadays, the images are pretty clear.
Yep.
All right. Well.
Wow, they can. I hope they have really crappy penis diseases right now.
I hope somebody like
it wasn't like life threatening to wish upon them.
Here's what should be done: throw them all into an above ground pool,
and then put bleach in it,
or fill it with like urine or like sewage or something. You know.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, fun fact, which I'm absolutely not using common sense. This is stupid, so don't judge me. I was cleaning my cat litter box. This is a while back. And so ammonia and bleach are toxic to mix, right?
Yep.
I don't know what I don't think I was thinking that day. So I was cleaning my cat box out and squirted bleach into it. Yep. So I got really, really lightheaded and felt very strange. And the smell. I had to like walk. I threw the whole entire thing away because I thought I was just gonna die from it. So don't ever. Everyone probably knows that, but in case you don't, and you're very young, don't mix ammonia and bleach. That's a very toxic combination.
Well, now you realize what you've done. Somebody who's desperate.
Now I've done it.
Somebody who's desperate.
Do it now. Great.
Yeah, somebody who's desperate to get high is going to hear that. Wait a minute. I'll get some.
Don't eat Tide Pods. Don't mix bleach and ammonia. Don't do meth.
Or you know what's the worst one that's come along recently is eating rotten meat, because when you take poison into your system and it gets to your brain, it can cause you to become delirious. So they're getting high off of eating rotten meat. But so that's no good either. That's
I'm done. I want out of this. I want out of this planet.
People are insane. They just keep.
I identify as alien now.
Yeah. They can take you away, but you have to let yourself be rectally probed.
I don't care. I'm fine with that. That's fine.
Oh. Well,
at this point, I'm off with that. It might be. That's it.
Well, I would say, could you at least use lube? Could you get some petroleum?
Yeah, I mean, usually people don't remember. They just don't. They're like, I think something happened, but I don't know. See, guys, we are very demented.
Well, if you had been abducted, they would have gotten you pregnant. You would have had like a hybrid alien baby, and
cool.
You would have been pregnant for a while, but then they take it back.
What a cool experience, though.
Yeah. Sometimes they show the baby to the mother. And
yeah.
I've been into ufology for years, so I've read a lot of these stories.
Oh Lord, we're all in jest, my friends. We have to make light of things, otherwise,
Well, the aliens love America. It seems to be
apparently they do, yeah.
Most of the contact is concentrated. But anyway, I got
interesting alien stuff coming out, though. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, more disclosure for sure.
So maybe next week we do what would you rather?
We'll do the would you rather. Yes.
Let's discuss offline. Talk amongst ourselves.
Yes, we shall. All right. Well, I got to run to the store, so I gotta sign off. So
all right.
Thank you.
Good
once
talking
again.
to you, Morgan. I hope everyone had a great weekend. It was Memorial Day for us, so yesterday I want to say thank you to all of the people who fought, served, and died for our country. Got to do that. So.
Yep, and there needs to be more funding for their mental health care, so they're treated for PTSD. Okay, have yourself a great.
Talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Thanks. Okay.